Now, the greatest benefit in terms of effectiveness of exams is obviously the proctoring method, is using some way to actually ensure that students are taking the exam honestly and doing so without any dishonest behavior. So the four I'd like to talk to you about include testing centers, which are extremely popular, in-class testing, remote live proctor, and remote on-demand. But I want to start with the testing center. So testing centers are usually available on every campus, and obviously students schedule an appointment to come in. They either use their own computer or a computer already in the testing center. And there are clear benefits and costs for using the testing center. As far as benefits, the most importantly is you're preventing the collaboration. You're ensuring that just one student goes in and takes the exam himself or herself. Secondly, it's also very flexible. You know, students who are working can schedule an appointment to take an exam at a convenient time. There's also an ability to schedule exams at external testing centers. So for example, if we have students who are living abroad or living in other states, our testing center has arrangements with other testing centers that students can take elsewhere, sometimes without cost, most often with a small fee. Another advantage of testing centers is that it makes your life as an instructor much easier because most of the technical aspects as well as the scheduling of exams are handled by the testing center, so the staff will take care of all those issues for you. And finally, it may be cost effective if your testing center already exists and is underused. Okay, so if there's a lot of capacity left for your testing center, the marginal cost of using this approach might not be that high. But there are some concerns about testing centers. So the first concern is does not prevent information sharing. Okay, it doesn't prevent one person from taking the exam first, sharing information with another student. Secondly, we've had a lot of problems, at least in our school, with the external testing centers. We've heard reports that some external testing centers charge as much as $300 for a student to take an exam. More typically, it'd be between $50 and $100. We've also heard reports that, for example, we had a student who was volunteering in Haiti after their earthquake a couple years ago. They went to a testing center there, and they didn't have the software that was needed to take the exam. So there's some issues with external testing centers in terms of cost and compatibility that you have to be aware of. Another concern about testing centers is the space. Our testing center cannot handle 28,000 exams in a semester. We just don't have that large of a facility. And fourth, at least in our university, we provide nighttime security for students who are coming at night to take exams. Because unlike a night class where you typically groups of people will leave at the same time, with a testing center, typically you have one person coming and going to their car, and that may create some security issues. So there may be additional costs in terms of providing security, especially if you rely a lot on testing centers at night. Okay. Now, the second strategy for proctoring is to bring all of your students at a specific time and date to campus and just have them take an in-class exam. The greatest benefits of in-class proctoring is that it works well with small classes because you get able to communicate very easily with those 30 or 40 students. If one or two can't make it, it's relatively easy to make alternative arrangements. But if you have an online class of 500, different story. The best benefit of in-class testing is it does eliminate the collaboration and information sharing to an extent. It dramatically reduces that possibility. And finally, it potentially saves time because instead of monitoring an exam over a 24-hour period where you're dealing with technical issues, you're dealing with all sorts of emails from students, I got kicked out of my exam, so on and so forth, you're bringing all your students for 1 hour or an hour and a half, and you're just getting it done with at one time. So potentially, that could be a time saver for you. Now, as far as some costs, obviously, the reason we have a lot of online classes is we don't have enough classrooms for all of our students. So the fact that we just don't have space to bring everyone on campus for exams is a major concern. Also, the whole premise of having a bunch of online classes is for convenience. And so we found that students are often upset when we say this class is completely online, but wait, we're making you come on campus 4 times during the semester, during the time that you work, or during a time where you can't find a babysitter. Finally, you do need to have a number of proctors that you may have to, if you don't have resources like TAs available to proctor your exams. And of course, the argument is you're trading one form of cheating for the old school form of cheating, which is looking over someone's shoulder or writing something on the hat. So if you are one that believes that a cheater will always be cheating, then does it really matter if they're in class or at home? So there's some arguments for that as well. Okay, now I want to talk about the remote ways that you can proctor. Let's start with remote live proctoring. So the most popular service out there for remote live proctoring is ProctorU. So what ProctorU does is it allows students to take their exams anywhere in the world with an internet connection, and as long as they have a webcam, where a proctor will be on the other side of the webcam watching the student take the exam. And typically the ratio with ProctorU is one proctor is watching 6 students take an exam at the same time. So as far as benefits, it's obviously the most flexible for students. They can take the exam anywhere, anytime, as long as they can schedule a appointment that that works for them, and anywhere where they have access to the internet. It also allows large numbers of students to take the exam at the same time. So you can actually narrow the exam window because ProctorU is big enough that they can actually handle hundreds of students taking the exam at the same time. And finally, the benefit for ProctorU is that they promise that to delete the video from the testing as long as everything checks out okay. So if a student takes an exam, no evidence of cheating, the video is deleted for privacy, to protect the student's privacy. As far as the costs of ProctorU, the number one cost is the actual cost. It's about $40 per student per exam to use ProctorU. There may be some quantity discounts available, but for us, with 28,000 exams in a semester, that's over $1 million a year. We just don't have that kind of money. Also, a criticism of ProctorU is that if a student loses his or her internet connection and can't get on back right away, they will have to reschedule another appointment to take the exam at another time. Okay, so it does cause some potential hassles for students if a thunderstorm knocks out the internet for a few minutes. And finally, there is still some concern about privacy because you are using a webcam for some stranger to watch your student in their home or dorm room and anything that could potentially be happening in the background. Finally, we have the remote on-demand. So remote on-demand, the two most popular services out there are Proctor Free and Software Secure. Our school uses Software Secure, and I'll explain the difference in a second. Both are essentially doing the same thing. Both of these services record students taking the exam using their own webcam. Okay, so every student will take the exam. They're recorded from start to finish, and all the exams are then audited by these companies, and then subsequently a report is generated for the instructor. Software Secure, every single exam is viewed by a human auditor. Okay, what they do is they view each exam in high speed, they check to see if there's any suspicious behavior, and they'll flag any instances of suspicious behavior. Proctor Free uses a computer to do the same thing. And so they're using various a sophisticated software program that can recognize certain behaviors that students might do that would suggest that they are doing something unethical. Okay? So, because computers are not perfect, Proctor Free does audit about 10% of all their computers' results. So it's not completely Proctor Free, nor is it free. But the benefits of remote on-demand proctoring is it's a much lower cost than ProctorU. Proctor Free runs as low as $4 an exam if you're willing to not take their tech support. I never recommend that. There's always going to be technical issues, and so the minimum price with tech support is roughly $8 per exam with Proctor Free. Software Secure runs about $15 per exam. We got a quantity discount, so we're paying about $12 an exam. But it is perhaps the most convenient of all the methods for students because students do not need to schedule an appointment. They simply need to log on at a convenient time for them within the window, go through the Software Secure or Proctor Free software first to check their credentials, check their ID, take a picture of themselves, view the room, and then they take the exam on Blackboard or Moodle or whatever LMS that you normally use. And what I like most about remote on-demand is that the instructor makes the final call whether or not something is considered a violation of your policies. So what these companies will do is flag everything. Okay? If a student talks on a cell phone, even if something as harmless as a roommate comes down and says, hey, I'm ordering a pizza, do you want in? Something like that, which is nothing related to the exam, these companies will still flag it, saying that, wait, the student talked to someone else. And so what they'll do then is after each exam, they'll send you a link full of all these clips that are considered suspicious. So you get to click on these links and view the 5 or 10 seconds of that suspicious behavior, and you as an instructor decide whether or not that's considered cheating and whether you want to do anything about it. As far as the negatives, and we've had a lot of discussions about these negatives, the number one negative concern about these services is privacy. With Software Secure or Proctor Free, you as an instructor can view the entire exam of every student. It's all available for you. And it also leads to some legal or ethical potential issues. And we've never had this problem. These are just things that people brought up. What happens if you're watching a student taking an exam and in the background is some illicit consumption of goods and services? Are you as an instructor then obligated to report that? Are you a witness to something that was sort of external to the exam? And finally, remote on-demand has created a new form of cheating, because all you students are thinking now is like, okay, we have a webcam on me. I have to spin the webcam to show the room, but then I'm home free. So I could have someone stand behind the webcam and wave cards of the answers. So there's all sorts of new ways that students are trying to overcome these issues. So these are just some of the experiences that we've had at FAU. I'm sure many of you have had your own experiences if you've taught online. I know many of you I talked to are planning to teach online. I hope I didn't discourage you. I hope that these ideas will help you decide which might be most appropriate for your class to protect your exams. But I want to conclude by saying that even though we thought a lot about proctoring and we thought a lot about how to minimize cheating on exams, we do have a bigger goal. And our bigger goal is to improve the culture of students in terms of their thinking and their respect for academic integrity. So in addition to all the things that we've done, we've also started a very aggressive campaign of conveying to students the importance of academic integrity. So we started putting more awareness campaigns. We have our video wall in our atrium showing the value of academic integrity. And so we're really trying to improve the culture that if we can minimize the overall problem, then the cost and the effort of doing all of these other issues would be much less consuming of our resources. So again, thank you very much for your time.